Okay, I'm going to call to order this September 16th, 2025 Hancock County Commissioners Special Meeting. Any adjustments to the agenda?
Yep, I'm going to move to accept and present the agenda as presented with the following additions: discussion of Anthem employee health benefits to section 13F.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Public comment. Is there anybody here this morning that would like to make a public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on. Approval of minutes.
I'm going to move to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Gentlemen, under the Commissioners, item 13A, there was a discussion regarding a donation of a vehicle to the grant recipients. Gentlemen here this morning, I'm just wondering if you might entertain taking them out of order so that they don't have to send you through this entire meeting. You okay with that? Dan, you okay?
Wait.
Morning, gentlemen. Morning, Chief. So we're going to move to agenda item 13A. This is a discussion that we started last meeting, continue today with regards to a request by the Public Fire Chief for the vehicle for the next couple of years to be used by used for the grant, transportation for the grant they've received for recruitment of volunteer fire members. What is your pleasure, gentlemen, with this?
Has it been selected, like, do you know what vehicle?
No, we need to decide, A, if we're going to give them a vehicle, B, which vehicle is it going to be, and if there are any conditions that we will put on transfer of the vehicle. So first of all, I guess the question comes down to, do you want to donate one of our entire vehicles to this grant program?
And the idea is that we're going to be receiving the vehicle back at the end of the grant period?
No,
or
basically, it's going to be a straight giveaway. You know, I might ask the chief, though, if they dispose of that vehicle in a couple of years, that perhaps they consider donating the proceeds to the Hancock County Finance Association, but it's simply something between me and Scott. I mean, it'd be a nice gesture when you're done with that vehicle. But other than that, it's going to be a straight donation to the grant program. So I guess I'm going to entertain a motion to donate. Now let's decide the vehicle and put that all in one motion.
Commissioner, this. So that one I just gave you is a trailer that we purchased at the beginning of the grant that is specifically for recruitment and retention. It rotates around all 7 of the departments. And it's specifically under the terms of the grant only for recruitment and retention. So they're able to utilize that. That being said, it has to be towed. So either we have to use our pickup truck, which is not an issue, or utilize what you provide us.
And the chief has indicated that of the vehicles available, his preference would be vehicle number 3, 2019 Silverado. Got 108,000 miles on it. You see that it's vehicle number 3 on the list. Yeah, I'm in favor of that vehicle. Joan? Sam, you okay with that one?
Yeah, I'm just curious. So, does the sheriff's department have any comments?
I do. That's probably one of the more valuable vehicles that we are going to put out to bid. And we have agreed that when we put them on the bid, the money will go into the reserve, the vehicle reserve. So, I mean, we've already taken one vehicle and swapped it out for the animal control, and if we do it with a second one, that's just money that, we could be using here at the sheriff's office. He was just talking about, being able to tow it with the, one of their pickups. They have two that sit over there, so I suspect that they could utilize one of those vehicles that they have.
We have an idea of the value of the vehicle.
I don't have it, but I can get that.
Well, the problem is the value of that vehicle is somewhat of a loose figure, because when we bought pickups years ago, instead of buying pickups, the whole idea was is to swap them in on new pickups, because the trade-in was so much more. Then they started buying vehicles that couldn't take trade-ins, so now we have to put them on the front lawn, and just as soon as you put them on the front lawn and tell them they're a government vehicle, the price goes way down, so we won't know for sure what vehicles we're gonna get until we open up the bids, whenever they come due. But, I don't, for me, I'm not concerned about this. I think we have a very, very needy situation here. Fire service is at a critical service right now with it difficult to get volunteers to sign up, and now they've got a recruitment program that hopefully increase that in the greater Ellsworth area and the surrounding communities. And I think this contribution to this would further that effort. And to that effort, I'm going to move that we do contribute 2019 Chevrolet VIN number 217 to the Ellsworth Fire Department for use of their, by their recruitment grant for the next 2 years.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Just a quick question. It's my understanding that the bid list has gone out, just to make sure the commissioners are aware of that, so essentially that's gonna be advertised, even though you're making this decision right now. Just mentioning that for the record, I think I could give you an opinion from the attorney on that as well, but just to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Well, I think it's ridiculous to say that because we said, last week that we're going to bid something, we have to go through that bid. We found another use for that, and a lot better use, I think. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
I'm in the office. Can you come see me?
3,
Much appreciated.
Chief will
Thank you.
start those arrangements with Michael, work with him on that, get the title changed over and whatever you need, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Very well.
Hopefully, this is a positive endeavor.
I hope you're very successful.
Thank you.
Yes, wish you the best. Moving back to the agenda, we're going to go back now to item number 5. We have a gentleman with Hancock County for 37 years as an employee. I'm not sure if that's been exceeded or not. Because I had 33 years, and I thought I was right up there toward the top. But Richie Gray, please come forward, sir.
There's 37 years of service for Hancock County.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Richie, come right over here, and face the cameras. There's a plaque that we'd like to present to you, and here's a Sam, one of us. Here's your certificate. Congratulations.
Thank you. Them all working.
Send all.
Doing tomorrow, I'll be up.
Richie, you want, I'll give you that.
Sir, have a good day. Thank you.
I'm live.
Okay, moving on. Unauthorized territories, good morning, Miller.
Good morning, Commissioners.
We have your report, anything to add to that?
Yes. I met with Peter Nason at Back Road at 11 o'clock on Wednesday. And I sent you pictures with the grader adding more gravel to the road. So they were working, where you see these pictures is just below where the big rock is for the, with the rock that has a stake on it.
Right.
Bracing it up. So in the first picture there, I'm packed, just going down the hill beyond that rock, and he's grading ahead of that. So that's where they're working at 11 o'clock Wednesday morning. At 3:43 Wednesday night, I got a text message from Peter that there'd been a change in plans. They were about 1,500 feet from the end of the road. And Skip had wanted to start paving Thursday morning while they were finishing putting the gravel on the last end of it. So I went up yesterday. No, I went up Sunday afternoon and took pictures. Now I emailed you pictures yesterday. So they have paved the road and they got their gravel under the whole thing and they paved the road. They still got some shoulder work still to do. They're not completely done, but the paving is done.
Is there ditching left to do, Miller?
There's no ditching. Time they added the foot of fill there, took care of any ditching. It's all sloped.
Okay.
When they put the when Brian put the culverts in, it took care of most of the ditching anyway.
Very good.
And then with the other raising the road up with the foot of fill, it got everything up so it's natural.
So they're basically a little shoulder work and they're basically done with that project, correct?
They're done with Back Road. I was at Mountains Ridge at 3 o'clock yesterday. They haven't started there yet, so.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna move to approve and file the UT supervisor's report as presented.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ready with that?
Snow removal contract. I'm gonna move to approve the snow removal agreement on Route 193, T22 MD and Back Road T28 MD with Troy Perry for 3 years with a 10% increase above the prior 3-year contract.
Randy,
Is that Rick?
Oh, Perry, sorry, Randy Perry.
Randy, Perry.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? You all set with that, Miller?
Yeah.
I'm gonna call a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
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 And we've got one more. I'm gonna move to approve the snow removal agreement with for Martin's Ridge Road in T9SD with the town of Franklin for 5 years with an increase of $1,000 per year.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anything else, Miller, this morning?
That's all I've got. What time do you think you'll get to the UT budget? Any idea?
You know, considering it shouldn't be much discussion, it's what it is, right?
Yeah. I don't know exactly what surplus is until we get the audit back, so I plugged in the number that I used last year. Just for an estimate. When we get the numbers back from the auditor, will you have the exact number? But
Well, is that number part of the budget?
Well, it's what we use at the final end of the budget to calculate what we're subtracting out. It's
Can we approve the budget, Monica, without that number?
It's usually an estimate.
It's usually.
Yes.
Okay,
I don't know how soon we'll have them.
okay, gentlemen, hearing all of that, what's your pleasure on,
I'm gonna move to approve the unorganized territory budget as presented.
I'll second that.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anything else, Miller?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay? Then we'll go back to the airport.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Leroy, that right there's a podium, you stand in front of that. when you want to-
Is that what you do?
When you hear it first.
Supposed to be over
When you hear it, that's where you stand. Okay, very good. Welcome.
Right. The first one is the results after the negotiations with William Miller on his parcel. He negotiated a 10% increase.
Increase of what?
It comes to.
No, what,
This
from
is,
what? From 10% from,
it increased to 23, it was 22,
you mean the original offer?
the original
Oh,
offer.
okay, gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move to approve the 10% increase in the negotiated settlement amount to $23,100 for parcel 4 under the name of William B. Miller, pending FAA approval.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We should have probably 2 or 3 next.
I'm gonna move to approve the upward transfer for Todd Daly from 8L to 9L at $31.58 an hour with the starting date of September 26, 2025.
I'll second that.
Don't we usually start those on Saturday, not Friday? Saturday starts the workday, so you're gonna have,
Right,
you're
yes,
gonna have,
so it was the,
you're gonna have a change in rate in the middle of a work week. If we did that on the 27th, that would make it easier for payroll.
Yes.
okay. Yeah.
Okay, can you
That
amend
was
that
what
to
it was.
make it effective?
Amendment to September 27, 2025.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. You'll have to replace Todd?
We'll have to replace Todd.
Okay.
In the last one, we didn't get the contract, so no action on.
No action on C?
Nope.
Let the record reflect, taking no action on the airport's agenda item 7C. Anything else, Leroy?
Nope.
Okay, good to see you.
Interest.
Morning, Tim. And the good news is that agreement, that professional care agreement's working out pretty good.
Yes.
Good.
The foundation after she asked for, we come to agreement for 2% raise, which is a lot for medical contracts. And working with Monica and Michael, we feel that pick that difference up with the agreement we had with the grant, with the fund that we're using. Already, we used $12,000 of that.
Oh, we-
Yeah,
Hey, gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
I move to approve the First Amendment to the Corrections Healthcare Agreement as presented.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anything else? Tim?
Nope.
Very good, thank you.
you want to sign it and get it, you have a copy to sign, or you want
Who signs it?
I have all those copies that you had asked. I'll get them.
Okay.
Wait a minute, is that required, the 3 commissioners to sign?
to, no, just the chair.
Well, that needs to be reflected in the
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to rescind that motion and correct it.
Move to approve the First Amendment to the Correctional Healthcare Agreement as presented and the chair signed.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Morning, Dennis.
Morning, gentlemen.
I have 2 bids marked for Sherman. Well, okay, I guess. Okay, the first bid is from Pettingill Properties LLC, located in Ellsworth, for a bid of $24,000. Now, this is for what?
That's a season,
No,
it
it's
should-
for, just,
just the courthouse campus.
just,
We considered the Hancock site, but since it'll be under construction this winter, we'll deal with that. So each bid should contain a per event figure as well.
this one, is that $400?
That sounds likely.
That's what, $400 per event plowing, $400 per event sanding.
And my request to Deirdre and to Mr. Pettigill were, would you honor that price like at the Hancock site per event? If we needed it, and they will, so.
Okay.
But since then, we will not be needed, so it's
Okay, so the second bid is from RF Jordan. There is no per event price, there is a contract price per year, per season of $7,000. So,
I think that's pretty,
okay, even though it doesn't have a per event, you're okay.
I am.
Gentlemen, that's two bids, what's your pleasure?
So are they two separate bids, like two different applications?
No, okay, but they both have the same form, in other words, they both gave you the opportunity for Pettingill put in, Jordan's didn't, and that offered only a seasonal contract.
So, yeah, that's a per season price. Yeah, 23 and change and 7,000.
Well, you could take the per.
No, could be lower, no.
What's the $400 event?
That's if we decided to call them in for a special one time
So they're not offering an option, it's either 24,000,
or,
okay.
Sorry, Jordan.
it is, yeah, it seems to me that's kind of decides itself.
I'm gonna move to approve the bid of RF Jordan for snow removal and sanding for the courthouse complex for the 25/26 season for an amount of $7,000.
I'll second that.
Discussion. What did we pay this year to it?
Was between it was 6,800 or one something.
68, okay, we're in the ballpark then.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I'll let them know, and thanks so much. There'll be documents, but I'll bring them to you at the, another.
Okay,
So Josh is at the annual conference put on by one of the law firms down southern Maine, so he's in Portland right now. And that's also supported by our insurance providers, one of those HR ones that they recommend as one of us attends annually. So he had provided you with a memo. Quickly, he's just looking for some feedback, I guess, in regards to the Health and Wellness Committee that we talked about before. And whether or not you have any suggestions or ideas about limits, term limits, position, number assigned, all those different things. Or do you want to just basically put something together and bring it back to you?
now, unlike a few years ago, we found that there's more interest now than there was a while ago.
So now there seems to be, I think before it was just a matter of the process you had to go through. And also we were paying this company to basically do all their work for them. And then we were paying them a fee to come back and tell us what we should give to employees, which we could have done on our own if I recall. So I mean, essentially it was a kind of deal that system doesn't mean something like that couldn't be, but without a committee working on it, there's really, it's just really HR and me, I guess.
But there wasn't a lot of participation, was it?
There wasn't a lot of employee participation in it because you had to get your 4 things in a row. And I think what ultimately ended up killing that to a degree was COVID, because then it took forever to get in to see a dentist, a doctor, all those appointments during that time period. Made it hard for most people to get their 4 major appointments in within a time frame. So, I mean, we're giving maybe less than a half dozen people their benefits as a result of that. So it definitely wasn't being utilized to the full degree of it, for sure.
Do you have suggestions for what we should have in this program? Or do you want to leave it up to Josh to develop it and bring it back to us?
Josh, do.
I would too. I think Josh and Dan, Michael, are much more prepared to.
Okay, I will let him know. Thank you.
I don't see Julie, but let's take action on.
I'm going to move to approve the resignation of Mary Connery, effective September 17th, 2025. Thank her for her service for Hancock County.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Michael, you're Hancock site insurance issue?
Yeah. So now that we can see on the horizon the potential of starting construction on that project, I had reached out, as I indicated in my memo to you, to the insurance company, just to find out what the process would be, timetables and what we're looking at. Obviously, cost depends on a number of different things, but essentially, there's an application which I gave you. It's a pretty easy application. I've already talked with Kevin and Charles about this. And Kevin sent me some information late yesterday afternoon that I could put in the application. The question is whether or not you want that as part of the contract agreement, therefore the contractor takes care of that builder's risk insurance. And if you do, then obviously he's got to bill the town, or the county, sorry, for that. So then becomes, if he does that, then the money's theoretically coming out of the funds that have already been designated for that project. So that really is the question. I mean, one, do you want me to continue down the route of trying to submit all this information to our insurance company, get a price, and go from there? Or do you want me to talk more with Kevin and see what that's gonna look like, and whether or not there's an additional markup or his costs are gonna be more? I can't tell you for sure.
Can we do both? Can you get an estimate from risk pool? If he gets an estimate from
I'd have to talk to Kevin and see how flexible he is with that, I guess.
how would we make a decision which way to go?
Well, I mean, one of the underlying figures, I guess, is where the money's gonna come from. If it's coming from him, then it's gonna be part of that contract deal that you entered into already. If it's coming from us, then it's just an add-on where you're gonna have to designate where those funds are coming from.
And we don't have any concept of like the costs right now, really.
He couldn't give me an idea. I mean, it's probably likely gonna be a few $1,000s. Anyway, and then just to fill in with the rest of it, I mean, Andrew Sankey looked at his grant, because that was one of the questions as well. There's still a couple other bond issues that the grant requires, payment performance things, so we're gonna have to talk to the contractor about that as well. But the difficulty now is, he said, in the olden days, you used to just tell them what the project was, giving them an estimated value of the project, and that was it. And now you've got to go through this long process. They want to see payment schedules or projected payment schedules, more detailed plans and those documents as well. And it takes a while. So that's part of what the clock will run against, unless you don't think that they're going to get going in October or this fall. And last meeting on Wednesday, this past week, they still are shooting for that date. So
Do we have to go through that same process with risk pool if we want to insure ourselves? Can we just give Malcolm a number and he'll
So that's the process right now, to go through the risk pool. We have to go to Malcolm. Basically, Malcolm sent me this application because the risk pool itself doesn't provide that specific type of insurance, so they have to basically have to buy that coverage through some of their secondary
Do
providers.
we have to go through that same process though that Kevin would have to go through?
I mean, he has an established relationship with people, but he's still he basically said too, yeah, it's still a pain. And he's not guaranteed on what, but he's done it before, so he does have. In fact, I think he mentioned even the company that we would apply to is one that he's had provide that insurance coverage on other projects that he's done before. So at the end of the day, it could very possibly be basically the same thing, you're just working at it at two different ways.
Is one of your concerns how much energy the commissioner's office is gonna have to put in to get it done? But it's better to have.
Not necessarily, I mean, ultimately, really, just knowing that we're trying to stretch those dollars as much as we can. You know, I'd hate to see now all of a sudden you gotta back more stuff out of the project. Just because you gotta pay money for insurance, which arguably, you know, if you don't use it, well, okay. You know, you don't really get anything for it, but if something happened over there and the place burned down, which you see online all the time nowadays, you have these people, the contractors building brand new buildings and people sitting there filming them going up in smoke, so. That would be a loss that the county couldn't make up, so I mean, obviously, one way or the other, we've gotta have that insurance, and hopefully you don't have to use it.
So they didn't already have an insurance
We do that, yeah.
built in for this?
This is.
It's in the contract, it's considered part of their job, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Contractors insurance.
That's not what Kevin said.
Oh,
We had this discussion the other day, you were talking to the other developer.
yeah,
So Kevin has indicated this is additional and it is an additional cost.
One with you, Dennis, I don't know if I've ever heard of a contractor who didn't have contractors insurance while they were responsible for the construction, but
wow.
first of all, you thought maybe
You know,
2,000, like less than 5 maybe?
If we're doing well, hopefully it's in that area, you know, but I can't
And
say
if we didn't go through contract, how would we pay for that outside the contract fees?
Well, that's gonna be the question for you guys. I mean, we haven't set aside specific money beyond the community benefits and the match program and stuff you made, but I haven't looked at any of those requirements, whether insurance could be covered or not. So it's something, again, that we have to do more research on.
Is this coverage, say that the contractor is insured for anything that he's responsible? This additional insurance will only cover something that happens from the outside, like somebody that.
It could be a variety of many things, yes. I mean, it could be as simple as somebody going over and lighting a match, but it could also be that something that the contractor wasn't directly responsible for,
Like
didn't
storm
necessarily do
damage,
wrong, something happened, and yeah,
storm
you're,
damage.
you're out of, we could have a hurricane, something like that, you know, it could be a variety of different things that could impact it. That obviously, the builder is gonna say, that's not my problem, not my responsibility.
But it had the electrical short caused by improper.
Then arguably, but you're still gonna have to fight that fight, and then you're gonna have to fight the fight with the contractor and developer, and in the meantime, you've lost all your investment and you have nothing to show for it, so.
Well, I think, my opinion is, we ought to charge Michael with getting the insurance for ourselves and whatnot, coming back with that premium cost, and we'll decide where we're gonna get it from. Okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, Michael, you have your matching orders.
Okay, and then I will also probably, once I get in touch with Andrew, saying he will be coming back on those other bonds and stuff as well. So we'll have to, and I have not talked with the contractor about that, so some of that stuff is probably in the contract documents, but again, without looking at that, but there's still a potential we'll come back to those as well. And I did give you a memo update on the site from the attorney, just basically said there hasn't been a lot of action, but she did indicate that there's probably some stuff that needs to be acted on as well, which I would suspect would come back in the next meeting or two as well. So just kind of to give you a heads up as we move along. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on. expense of the vehicle donation. We discovered that there was an error in the minutes way back in February.
And I move to approve the correction of the minutes of the February 7th, 2023 Commissioners' regular meeting to reflect the actual motion that was made for agenda item 9A to read, move to compensate the chief deputy for on-call at the rate of 8 hours per day.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The other part of that agenda item is discussion of the special compensation for chief deputy. Who wants to speak to that?
So we were talking about that correction. Michael and I and Chief met the other day. We come up with agreement during the week with lieutenant. So if we do get, either he or I get called during the week, then we'll deal with it, figure it out how to do it. So we're not.
Well, the problem, okay, the problem is that the policy, there's no policy in place that allows the chief deputy $2.50 an hour during the weekdays.
Right,
It's only for the weekend.
right.
So,
That's what we talked about yesterday, was it, Michael? We
Yeah.
got together.
Yesterday.
so there will be no compensation for on-call during the week, is that correct?
That's what we agreed on.
Okay. Well, the other problem is that right now the chief deputy gets 16 hours for every on-call weekend that he's on. Now, that was based back on February of 23, based upon the fact that they had two lieutenants working opposite each other days and nights. And as a result, there was 48 hours of on-call time that the weekend on-call supervisor was responsible for. So based upon that, we felt that 8 hours a day, or one day, which 8.5 for the lieutenants, because they work 42.5, was appropriate. But that is all changed. The lieutenants now work days, 12-hour days and whatnot. And as a result, there's only 24 hours of on-call time now for the weekend. And that's given 16 hours for on-call time for 24 hours of 16 hours of compensation for 24 hours of on-call is excessive, and it's not industry standard. It's way above. And so that's going to have to be addressed in the upcoming union contract. That's going to be resolved and corrected. And we need to discuss that at some point and decide that 16 hours for the chief deputy for 24 hours of on-call is excessive, and that needs to be brought more in line with the industry standard. So I'm going to suggest that, 1/3 of the work week, 1/3 of the on-call time compensated for is more appropriate, and that we should consider reducing the on-call for the chief deputy to 8 hours for the weekend instead of 16. Discussion.
I don't know if there's much discussion of it right now. It's part of our union.
Well, the chief deputy is not.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm suggesting that we make that corrections today, and because that could be a basis for the discussion when we negotiate the union contract. So I'm going to move that the chief deputy's compensation for weekends on call. I'll give you just a minute. I'm going to move that the chief deputy's compensation for being on call for the weekend would be at a total of 8 hours.
Sure.
Okay, let's back up again then. The chief deputy, somebody from the sheriff's department's command staff is on call for the weekends. And before, when they had lieutenants working night and days, there were 48 hours of on-call time that they would be responsible for. When they went to all days, 12-hour days, that would reduce to 24 hours. So there's only half the amount of on-call time responsibility for the weekend on-call supervisor. that the rate of pay that the chief deputy presently is getting is based upon the old schedule, which required him to be on call for 48 hours. It's now 24. As a result, we should be changing the compensation for being on call to make it commensurate with the number of hours he's on call. And industry standard is somewhere in the neighborhood of, for, 1/3 of the on-call time is compensated for. So if we have 24 hours of on-call time, then 8 hours would be the industry standard for being on call. Chief, if you want to speak.
I'd just like to speak to say that when I am on call for the weekend, that totally limits my ability to do anything that I want to plan for the weekend. I have to be readily available for a phone call and also readily available to respond if I have to respond to an incident in the county. I think 16 hours is completely fair to be on call when you limit my restrictions on what I can do. And it's every third week that I am on call. I think counting down to 8 hours, my opinion, is not fair. So, and what I mean by limit, I'm limited to what I can do. I have to be readily available to be put in uniform, to get in my car and respond anywhere in the county, which means that I just can't go do anything with my family, respond too far away from my house. I'm kind of restricted on my ability on what I can do on that weekend.
So what, explain to me, because I don't really, obviously have any experience with it. So like, is it the whole weekend that you're on call?
My weekend call starts at 4 a.m. on Saturday morning, and I go to Monday morning at 4. So basically, at Friday night, I'm home until Monday, or I'm limited in what I can do the entire week.
But we have a lieutenant working Saturday, all for 12 hours on Saturday and 12 hours on Sunday. So he's not getting called for that 24 hours that the lieutenants are working.
Lieutenants aren't working on the weekend. They're not scheduled to work on the weekend.
That's the schedule we approved for him. We approved the schedule, 4 on, 4 off, or something like that for them and whatnot required.
Their 4 on, 4 off is Monday through Friday.
They don't work Saturdays and Sundays.
No, sir.
Well, that's a violation of the contract there because that's not what the contract says.
I'm not familiar with that part of the contract when they have to work.
Well, that was back in 24 when they brought us a side letter wanting to go to 12 and 12 on, 12 off. They brought us a side letter and whatnot, and gave us the schedule, and it required one of them to be on duty 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
They're not working weekends. They're Monday through Friday. They're 12-hour shifts.
Here we go.
Well, I personally don't want to make a decision on it right now. If there seems to be some kind of dispute over what's in the contract, if they're working the hours they're supposed to be working. So I don't want to change it, just.
Okay, so we're
I
gonna,
understand your point.
not taking no action on this today. We'll have to do some research and determine exactly what's going on down there. We'll discuss it at a later meeting, okay?
We're gonna discuss, the final review of the budget. If the figures that Monica has sent to us is what we've agreed upon, is there any reason for us to
No,
discuss?
I'm sorry, let me correct that. The figures that she has sent you was suggestions by me that hasn't been acted on by the commission. That's gonna be done today. That'll be a discussion on amending what the last discussion was.
So do you anticipate any changes other than the ones that, came up the original?
I don't have any besides what I proposed. I don't know what the other gentleman proposed.
So if none that you know of, I'll be down in my office if you got some questions, you just want to give us a call.
There are two issues, the drug task force and the 7.5% versus the 5%. That's the only two issues I have in the budget. Okay, and if there's anything other than that, we'll give you a call.
Thank you.
Sure.
So, yeah, push it.
Okay.
Opioid settlement funds.
All right, so the settlement funds, you did receive an email from Courtney Mead, just asking the commission essentially what's going on with this, and that there's, this is the purpose of the funds, and I just gave you, it's timely, but it just came through to Monica late yesterday, and I got it from her this morning, so I gave it to you on your desk this morning. It again talks about the purpose of the settlement funds and all that. The state Attorney General's office has basically entered into an agreement with this other company to help assist counties and those dealing with the settlement fund. Many counties have put together these committees that start looking into these issues and work out ways to get those settlement funds out into the community. Right now, based on the money that we have, there's no way that really the county can spend all those funds on its own. So there has to be that effort to extend beyond. So basically this has been something that we keep talking about, but it just kind of gets kicked down the road, is will the commission instruct us to go ahead and at least start looking into this, to come back with information for a possible outline of what Hancock County should be doing in regards to this matter, and maybe the mechanisms or structure to put in place to support that. And this will help with obviously that part of meeting the requirements, which I think I mentioned like 95% or something like that. But it basically is for the mediation and dealing with obviously those issues. It's not intended for a bunch of other things, which I don't believe the county's done. It's my understanding the jail, and I think you had a copy of that in your information as well, the jail administrator has provided you with the opinion from the Attorney General's office, who that gentleman that had issued that statement. And that's what we've been going on so far. But there is much interest and much pressure out there on all the recipients to start putting into place this framework to get those funds out in the community to try to help people, as was originally intended and as apparently the state and us had agreed to and signed on to. So,
Is there any kickback on the amount of opioid funds we're putting in the budget? No, we're all set with that, right? We're really talking about what we're gonna do with the rest of the funds, correct?
so I mean, you have to basically document, correct, the steps and how much of those funds are going towards like the MAT and other.
They have not asked for that, but we are starting that process. So when they ask us what we spend it on, then it's gonna be.
Good document.
I working with our medical provider that's she's gonna give me the cost of what it costs for. What part of the contract falls underneath this opioid settlement funds. I mean, other facilities are doing the same. He was talking to Andrew yesterday, Friday, about this, and they're doing the same thing. They're using it for the
Just
medical.
long term, what's that in jeopardy? So putting something together means more than just deciding to have a committee. It's
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's making those connections throughout the community, finding providers that could actually, or are doing this work, where those funds could be provided to them, and just like anything else, if they're sub-recipients of those funds, then presumably the county will have to do some documentation, get supporting information from them as part of the issuance of those funds, so that we know who or what was ultimately done with all those, because we have to report back, as you saw from that too. I mean, we have to report back to them what we're doing with those funds.
So we're not making you responsible for finding service providers, are we?
No, I mean, that would be part of the larger county thing. Ultimately, that would be what would fall on the committee, but at some point, we are gonna have to decide, well, who, is this a jail issue? Is it a sheriff issue? Is it a county commissioner issue? Which then by default, obviously, you would hand that off to me. So I mean, these are some of the things that we would look at, but we don't necessarily have to start entirely on our own. There's a lot of other counties and other examples out there of things that are being done. So it wouldn't make any definitive step of anything. It would be coming back to you saying, after looking at all this, here's some examples of kind of what's going on, and here's what our recommendation might be. But to say I know exactly what that looks like now, I don't.
Can you use the money to hire a consultant or
I
a
don't
service
believe
provider?
so. It's very limited in terms of it's really more towards direct services and such.
Well, we have no reason not to proceed with it, correct?
No, I think it's good. I think it's good. The person sent us the email about it.
Yeah, I mean, we will never spend all that money, I don't think. I mean, you would have to have an incredible increase in your population probably before the county, in terms of direct service, would ever be able to be in that spot, I would think.
The only option, the only thing that I've been talking to Medical about, is going on the Sublocade shot instead of methadone or Suboxone, it's a shot. It's very expensive. Like Somerset dedicated all their funds towards that. It stops diversion in the jail. There's nothing taken orally, it's a shot. And that's gonna bring you to that next month. I've been talking to our medical staff to see if there's something that, what that cost would be. She feels it'd be 5 or 6 years of funds there if we went to the shot and
It
get.
sounds to me like a discussion you should be having with Michael.
Right, I had been talking about that, this came up last week.
Because that might be an option to the committee, if you're going to devote the entire funds to one particular program. It sounds kind of radical, but
But there are some organizations we work with that could also benefit outside the jail. They could come inside the jail, doing the same thing, but they might be able to, I think we could maybe
all the more
work with
reason,
everything.
yeah, we should charge Michael with developing this process. Right?
Yeah.
Once again, Michael, you already mentioned.
Thank you.
So let's go to the budget.
Actually, I'm gonna have a motion on it. I'm gonna move to authorize the staff to explore developing a framework or system for dispersing the opioid settlement funds in accordance with their designated purpose and to bring back such recommendations for the commissioner's consideration.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All set then. Now, we're getting closer all the time here to deciding what we're going to send to the BAC for our proposal to them. That's the last meeting, gentlemen. Reviewing this further and whatnot. A couple things came up for me. First of all, if you go to Department 10, the Department 10 is represented by the union in several of their positions. That contract for them is up December 31st. So next year, 26, during the budget year, will be the first year of a new 3-year contract. Now, because we had decided not to entertain individual requests for increases in wages during the 26 budget, in lieu of having a consultant study that process, we gave everybody a 7.5% raise. That 7.5% raise was transferred into the sheriff's department's budget for everybody. And I'm proposing that we reduce that to something, because that number will not be the 7.5 that we're giving non-union. That's going to be whatever we negotiate. I can tell you right now, if you put 7.5 in there and approve it, you're going to have to pay 7.5. So I'm proposing that we reduce that to 5% increase, and we can use that as a starting point for our negotiations. So that would affect the administrative assistant, the regular patrol deputies, and the detectives, and their associated benefits. So Monica has given us a sheet telling us what the impact of that recommendation would be. And I would be asking you to consider that and put that in the proposal we send to BAC. What's your pleasure, Joe?
I agree with it.
You agree? Okay. The other issue I have is the drug task force. I don't know, John, you might remember, but I think it's almost 3 years ago now. We basically told the state, you know, we've been supporting you now for 25 years on the drug task force. And basically, it's time that you picked up the expenses for that. Because it is a state agency and whatnot. And we want to start weaning ourselves from having to support the task force. And we said we will support and pay for one agent once you find and support one. And I was going on 3 years now, they still haven't been able to do that. It's not the state's fault, I think it's the lack of manpower. And what's happened is that in the budget that we had ready for proposal, we were raising taxation for a position we're probably not going to use. So I'm suggesting that we make this neutral in the sense the revenues cover the expenses. We reduce the amount raised for agents by 60,000. That we add 40,000 from the reserve account, which has $40,960 in it. That puts $100,000, makes that neutral by $100,000, and that way we're not raising taxation for that. Now, if they somehow can pull up an agent sometime in 26 and start the program, first of all, we have 40,000 that we can use from the reserve account, which is there waiting. And if we need more than that, we'll have to dip into like CBA or something. But the likelihood, considering they haven't been able to fill that for 3 years, likelihood is slim. So I'm saying, why raise money and tax the residents and whatnot for expenses that pretty good chance we're never going to spend?
Was there an email though that said that they're, they've got somebody or it's a half position?
Now, that, the new director is saying that he won't honor that 1-for-1 anymore. He's saying they can't afford that, but they'll honor half of one if we pay for 1.5. We're going the wrong direction. This, you know, at a time when we should be saying, this is your agency, this is a state agency. You've had 25 years to get your act together and support drug investigation statewide. And for us to go from 1 to 1.5 is going backwards on that. So I'd say we should reject that, and they can't come up with a full agent. And, you know, and that's it's going to be detrimental to the task force. It's not our problem, it's theirs.
Not that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know those people anymore, so I gotta be careful what I say, but I mean, we're at the point where we're, you know, I'm really wondering if they might be kind of holding us hostage or something. So I'm just saying that, you know, we've got money enough in here for one agent. They want it bad enough to come up with one, and we'll come up with one and pay for it. So as such, I'd like to increase the revenue line in Department 46 by $40,000 coming from the G account, and reduce the task force wages by $60,000. And you have those numbers in front of you. You okay with that? Yes. Sam? Okay, so having those suggestions reflected in the proposed budget, Monica and Michael, do we have a figure?
And I gave you these, which, yep, which reflect that change. The updated summary of expenditures and revenues.
So do we need to do a motion on it?
Yeah, we need to do a motion. So the budget would be $2,391,463 with my changes, Monica.
Nope,
That's the jail cap.
that's just the jail cap.
13 million, right?
So the computation up there, Mark, on the screen.
What he's showing.
Is that correct?
That's right, because that's got the 13,632.50 in expenditures and the revenues, thank you, of 2,91490 for a net right now of 10,718,340. Hold my glasses to the test. For an overall percentage increase, is that 8.7?
8.7.
I don't have the sheet in front of me. I don't-
No, we didn't print that sheet because we didn't know how today was gonna go, so,
Do you have that number though?
the budget,
Just print it off.
print more than one, Michael.
Yeah, should have. Did anything else come out yet?
No, this is just the agenda. No, nothing came out yet. It started.
What's the name or number over there on that?
There we go.
Expenditure rate.
We need to fix it, huh? That's legal.
Just said you were.
So while they're working on that.
A quick confirmation from what you said, from the email. State, now that they've announced a new Southern commander, they can no longer do the one-for-one funding. But if we still budgeted for one position, the state has agreed that they will will fund half of that position. Is that what I'm confirming here?
No, what you're saying, what that means is that of the one that they had previously committed, they're only gonna pay half of that. So we gotta pay the 1.5.
No, I'm saying, if we hire somebody, they'll cover half the cost.
If we just do one position and not budget for two, correct?
We're always gonna pay for one, and they're gonna give us half and half.
The agreement was that they had to provide an agent, well, they have a staffing level. I know what that says, I put the same thing. I put the same thing. They got a staffing level of a supervisor and 3 agents. We've said to them, And only right now, like a supervisor and one agent, we said to them, you're gonna provide the first agent. If you can fill that first agent, then we will fill the second. We're not gonna come in and subsidize this half crew. They're gonna have to step up to the plate, find a second of 3 agents, get them agent on board, and then we will hire the third agent. So we're not going to pay for half of that second agent. The agreement was is that they're gonna fully staff the Down East Task Force, and they're gonna staff it with, of the second agent, they're gonna pay the full cost, and we'll pay the full cost of the third. So if they want something different, we're gonna have to talk about that, because that's not the agreement that's in place that we have agreed to years ago. Okay. While we're waiting for that, Michael.
Well, I mean, it seems like there's two different things we
Sorry. The public hearing, you told us the other day that would be on it.
So Tuesday, yeah, essentially, September 30th.
And we'll have to meet just for that
Just
public
meet for
hearing.
that and vote just like 2 votes after that. You could make final changes during that time period and then send it on to the BAC. So, yeah, it's basically a special meeting. It's like what we did last year, a special meeting. And earlier in the day, because up until last year, you were doing them like Wednesday nights. That's basically a kickoff to the BAC, but
Do we want to entertain any other agenda items for September 30th? Or by the urgency?
It doesn't matter to me.
Well, I mean, if we're going to get all that stuff from India, we might as well take care of whatever business is necessary. So Michael, let's consider what we can do, stuff can't wait. Okay. If bottom line, we're gonna meet in a week after that, correct?
yeah, you're regular, you can follow.
Just see if there's something, just let everybody know if there's something that can't wait. We will consider it on that day.
Michael, can you send that to the printer again, please?
All right, so is that the C415?
Maybe not.
So, Michael, the action we take today is only the action, it's only the proposed budget and the send to the public hearing,
So basically the public hearing.
not to the BAC.
It's not the final budget you can approve. You still have given yourself basically, I mean, it's a quick turnaround, so if something did come up over the next 2 weeks, you had to change it. Basically, we'd have to, after that meeting on the 30th, turn right around and get it all done within the day. Because technically they're gonna meet on the 1st. Technically, you're supposed to have the budget to them by the 2nd at the latest, so.
But technically, we're not,
Not
this
approving
is
a
not
final,
approving the final budget to the BAC, we're approving what we're gonna send to the public hearing.
correct.
Okay, John?
Same with what you did with the UT.
Yeah, do you wanna let somebody know we have rally?
I tried to get her to come over to me, but she just
All right, I'm gonna move to approve the proposed 2026 budget to be presented at the public hearing September 30th. Expenditures of $13,632,530, revenues of $2,914 and 190. The amount to be raised through taxation of $10,718,340.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. As far as the LD1 growth thing, that just hasn't been computed yet, is that why we're?
Yeah, it hasn't been computed. I'm getting them back from the municipalities right now, slowly. A couple of them still are fighting a little bit on it because for them, it's been done away with. So the municipality's like, why are you even asking us about this anymore? And they'll send me the law, but it says municipalities, it doesn't say anything about counties, and that's the way that I understood it last year. I don't believe it's changed this year, so. But the reason is yeah, we're waiting to try to get those updated figures from them before, maybe by the end of the BAC, I'll have something for them to roughly know. But we won't even have those 100% until January of next year anyway, once we get the final figures back from the state, so.
Okay, moving on to the UT budget.
You already did that.
You
You did it.
You did.
You did it at the
We
start of the meeting.
forward.
Oh, questions, I'm sorry. But let's move on then to county commissioner comments. Michael?
So just one, Commissioner DeBella and I are gonna be going to the Maine County Convention, so here's Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday. At the end of the week, I'd send an email out, but, him and I are still being asked to bring a couple items. I don't know if you thought anything about that either, that represent Hancock County to include as part of their raffle, whatever you want to call it. If anybody has ideas of something you like, or that you know of, that would be a great thing to put out there to showcase Hancock County.
Always been a tradition in all this, send that whatnot. My feeling is just take your Visa card, go find something that looks like Hancock County and get it.
That's what I thought Commissioner DeBella would do. All right. And as long as everybody's fine.
It's fine. Moving on then, I've been contacted by some retirees from the county, whatnot, concerned about what's going on between Northern Light and Anthem. They're now getting notices from Northern Light that they're going to be out of network first of October. They want to know if there's anything we're going to do to assist them. And so told them I'd put that on the agenda this morning for discussion. And Michael, what can you tell us?
So essentially, in talking with Josh about it, as I understand it, this pretty much only impacts the retirees. And what essentially we'll have to do, if that's what the commissioners want us to do, is try to look at potentially coming up with an alternative, comparable type of plan that they could perhaps be a part of. I mean, right now, they're sending them towards basically like the traditional Medicare plan or a supplemental plan or something like that is what's being recommended to them. Josh is going to look into that a little bit further, and we're going to talk to our agreement that we have with the Katie benefits as well, talk to them about it to see kind of what's going on out there and what some of those alternatives might be. It's a staggered approach here. If you've read that information that he had sent, I know he had sent it to Commissioner Clark. Basically, it's not like everything's stopping overnight, but October 1st, some of the initial stuff, so like your primary care people, things like that, would be impacted, some of the specialists. Then at the end of the year, that would pretty much impact everything except for like hospital emergency care of that nature. But it's going to be an impact to those 8 people, obviously. So assuming you want him to go down that route, that's the next step, is trying to see what he can come up with for options out there. The enrollment periods obviously vary a little bit as well. I think our annual enrollment period is coming up here, like November, around that time period. So, it's coming up quick, so it's not like he's going to sit on this. I mean, it would be basically, that would be the next step, is to try to see what he can come up with for alternatives and bring that back to you for consideration.
I think we should start working on it right now. John and I talked earlier and whatnot, and I'm still still wondering whether or not these two very large entities can't somehow come together. There's a lot of people involved in this, and whether or not there still isn't time for a resolution to the contract, so.
So, I mean, obviously, each day that goes by, that's less and less likely, but that's part of why we haven't, haven't done a lot yet, because basically the notices that they received were put out, as I understand it, by Northern Light to let their people know, you need to contact Anthem and get them back to the table, so that we can have these discussions and we can go through something.
I thought they had an arbitration.
I
Anthem
know that
offered, Anthem offered arbitration to Northern Light. I don't know. Anybody else know?
I could be watching news. I thought they were almost ready to come to some sort of agreement, but
Boy, I'd like to know that's true.
I think that was last week when I saw that, so obviously things could have changed since then, but as far as what the news was saying, I thought they were trying to reach some sort of agreement.
So why can't we work towards finding an alternative right now? Not making any decisions until it gets close, and then having something ready so you have some good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any issue with that, and I think that's obviously been the hope all along, is that they would work this out for a variety of reasons, and we have to do basically nothing, but again, to be proactive, yeah, of course, I mean, especially if you have people that are concerned that after the first, their primary care physicians, people like that are no longer gonna be part of that coverage, so.
It's somewhat complicated too, because I had Anthem supplement of my healthcare consultant that I had said, I'm not affected by this relationship. And I can't imagine how, but it was too complicated when you try to explain it.
I'll talk to Josh.
Okay. Anything else from commissioners' comments this morning?
Move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a lady called Sarah.
Do you want to break in for you?
Information?
No, we.
Oh, yeah.
Commissioners, Chief Birch did have some,
I know it's been tabled on the chief deputy issue on the on-call. I was just provided a copy of the wording of the MOA that was signed back in April. This is the wording, the officially signed contract, with the commissioner's signature on it. 99% sure it's probably in the commissioner's office, but this was signed and then the commissioner signed after the meeting when it was proposed. I'll just give you a copy if you want. That way you can have the wording. Thank you.